Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st Millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Pryce, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesys Adaptation of Warhammer 40k's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Vis, Laura Hamstra as Sharpe, and Borovic as Morgan Rhalls. My report shows that Morgan Rhalls and Sharpe were left behind when their Inquisitor died. Having taken over the Claw and Wing, they've been doing their best to keep their bar going and themselves sane. Morgan befriended a romantically foolish giant, while Eli has been lecturing nearby youths about the cost of serving the Inquisition. But what will happen when their bar is invaded at gunpoint and a firefight breaks out? Find out next, in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
From the personal records of the Asher family, included in the estate sale. It would seem that after some time, it has come to this, that we cannot pay the tithe as promised, my lord, and I would simply hope that given our long and loyal service here on Last Gleaming, you would find some way for us to continue to serve the Emperor's glorious purpose. Yes, quite. I think we could arrange something. Balthus, my friend. 8th of your name. Bring the rest of the retinue around. I suspect the Inquisition has a new home here. You arrive at the last palace on Last Gleaming. While the rest of the city, the rest of the planet has kind of devolved over the years through all manner of conflict and war, leading to the creation of the Hive that you're now descending into. One palace remained, kind of at the heart of it, the center of it. And as is often the way with His Imperial Majesty's Inquisition, it's a pretty good place to make your home if you're going to be away for a while. And sure enough, Valentyne, I think something almost, despite kind of the reservations you have about the Inquisition right now, about the questions of the body that was recovered and kind of your place in it, having been kind of flying Barthas's flag, not quite knowing where you stand with Mutus, all this sort of stuff, there is a comfort, I think, in seeing a proper Inquisition base. It's got, the Aquillas on banners, the Inquisitorial rosette, stamped large. Like there is no question that this is an Inquisition base, and in fact, it's flaunting it. That said, it looks a little bit like anytime someone tries to retrofit an old building in a modern city, where like all the Inquisitorial shit has been kind of like scaffolded on outside, so it's definitely not a natural part of the architecture. The palace itself has a bit of like almost an old German vibe to it. Like it's very grand, but in a way that is now, of course, kind of caked with the soot and grime of the hive that's grown up around it, as well as the imperial superstructure that's been the inquisitorial superstructure that's been added around it. So Marnie's song is being guided in by Davian Mutus. You have kind of a moment or two before you land. There's a very clear landing platform that once would have been kind of where grand dignitaries would land or what have you, but now is very much a bustling imperial port. You can see low-ranking members of the Inquisition running hither and thither, moving boxes, very much like a Star Wars landing pad kind of situation. So just lots of crates, but with skulls on them, because 40k, but crates, pointy crates. Is there anything that the two of you want to confer about before you land?
Right, Inquisitor Valentyne, what is the plan once we land exactly?
Well, we're going to see how this goes. Our primary goal is to receive information, but we also must negotiate with this witch hunter Davian Mutus. Hopefully, we will find an ally and someone who can allow us and enable us to move further in our quest. Otherwise, we may be making what can be called a hot exit, one could say, which might just mean, the Emperor might deem us to have conflict with either the Inquisition or the witch hunter, in which case we'll do what the Emperor wills us to do, which is save him no matter the cost.
Right. Yeah, I'm ready for that, sir. Don't you worry about that. About our glorious mission. How close to the chest should we be playing those cards, sir? How many people should know what we're really doing here?
Yes, right now, you and I is about as many as should be included in this circle. Witch hunters are known for, one could say, rabid, violence-based ignorance. I don't believe the idea of a grand conspiracy will aid this witch hunter in his quest. I'm hoping we can send him off after elements of Barthas Billingberg's empire that, frankly, we won't make use of and should be destroyed because they are innately evil. When it comes to the Inquisition, it is a den of highly powerful and highly important snakes. We are one of those snakes, which is excellent. And the other snakes are very capable and very dangerous, which is excellent in general and somewhat complicated in terms of our relations with them. So let's keep things to ourselves and only divulge what we must to succeed.
Right, so should we have a cover then, for what we're doing here and all that? Or are we just talking about investigating Billingberg?
Right now, I think Billingberg is an excellent cover, which is we eliminated him, we eliminated him, and dealing with was it Planet Vicodin? I know the product was Vicodin, but yes, Planet Vicodin, and the heresy that we uncovered there, because that war is still ongoing and needs to be stamped out to prevent people from selling Xenos to be eaten by other people on an ongoing basis.
I wish I could be there, to finally achieve victory, now that it's not just being played to a stalemate on purpose.
Yes. Well, if I can, I'll have you be one of the signatures on the order that will bring that war to a close.
Really? You do that for me?
Again, if I can, yes, instantly. It's the least we can do for you.
Mr. Valentyne, that would be just fine, sir. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
And with that, Marnie's song is kind of brought in. Grim is he's not having a great time piloting this thing right now. He's fully plugged in, and you can just hear him muttering how many guns are pointed at you, just as a precaution on the way in. But nothing's firing. Obviously, Davian Mutis's codes checked out. And he phoned ahead. Like, this isn't a surprise. And honestly, again, it's one of the first times in a long time, particularly for you, Valentyne, that you're part of a functioning machine that's functioning the way it ought to, rather than, weird busted ass versions. But as you know, with the Inquisition, nothing is ever quite as it seems. So even the machine operating at seemingly running capacity isn't the comfort it might be otherwise. The ship touches down in kind of a blast of hissing steam and smoke, and the ramp lowers, and nearby Mutis's ship also lands, and he kind of comes striding down the ramp. Mutis is pretty much exactly what you'd imagine a fanatical witch hunting Inquisitor would look like. He is like if John Malkovich wore a pilgrim Salem style witch hunter garb, with the exception of a neon green sort of plasteel vest that is clearly some kind of Imperial Guard armor that he's had spray painted in this brilliant green. And if you've played the Vermintide games, you got a bit of a Victor Saltspire vibe, just a real he's to Ryan's point, this isn't just his job. This is also his hobby, and witch hunting is his best friend. So he kind of comes down. He has one of his legs is a servo from the knee down, just a proper mechanical peg leg that kind of hisses and whines as it walks. It almost sounds like a piston. And he just flips his cape out as he struts down the ramp, and he just says, "Ah, yes, welcome to Last Gleaming." And you can see he's flipped his cape out as he comes down, but he definitely has a gun on, like, you know, when people have Derringers on quick releases. He's definitely got 2 of those ready, because, you know, you've had some pleasant conversations, but he's also paranoid because he's an Inquisitor and you're an Inquisitor, and, you know, that's how we roll. And he just says,
oh man, I don't want to run too deep down this, but quick question. Is he an Inquisitor or a witch hunter? Because witch hunters are Ministorum, which is religion, and Inquisitor are the others. Though they use the term colloquially. So he could be Hereticus and be a witch hunter who's Inquisition based. I just want to know.
I had kind of placed him under Ordo Malleus myself.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, that's cool. They also could have ordained one. There's 1,000 possibilities. I just wanted to know.
Sure. I mean, witch hunting is his jam. But so no, he doesn't need to be an Inquisitor. But he is on. He works very closely for them. He's basically like a solo agent of the Ordo Malleus that's located here. They give him a lot of rope to kind of do his thing, but look, when you find someone who just loves their work as much as David Mutis does, you're like, who are you to stand in the way of a true artist? So yes, he throws open his cloak and he just says, "It is my honor to welcome you to the home of Ordo Malleus within Hearthold. I'm sure you'll find our gracious hosts as entertaining and delightful as I do in the service of the Emperor. Yes, there are, of course, members of your order, I assume." And he kind of like looks you up quickly, looks you up and down. He says, "Hereticus?"
Correct. Yes.
Yes. There are those of your order here as well, of course, as Ordos Xenos, whose landing pad we are in fact on. And he like taps his like robo servo leg, and just everyone around, like, this guy flies in and out of here a lot, and you can just tell. It's like if Jack Sparrow showed up at your port for like the 3rd time, you're like, all right, well, someone's gonna have a fucking fight on a water wheel now. Like, we're just gonna have a nice day of pirating, and now this asshole's here. So there's a general sense of fatigue. But sure enough, looking around, Valentyne, you are able to pick up that this does seem to be staffed by Ordo Xenos, regalia. It's a little more present. There's almost like think a brilliant violet purity seal. Like the seal itself is red, obviously, but the actual sort of text that has been sealed on these guys, almost like just, you know, if you're at a convention and everyone like wears a fucking name tag, you can tell that there's a very clear effort here to distinguish who is who and who works for where. Not out of any like malice, just there's 3, like, all the Ordoses are stacked on top of each other in a tower, so it's kind of helpful to know, like, pardon me, sir, can you tell me about a Tyranid? It's like, oh, no, sorry, bud, you want to talk chaos? I'm your boy. It's like, shit, okay. So it's
also,
just
everybody works for a boss with ultimate power, so it's like, okay, whose employee can I talk to?
That's it, yeah.
Because I'm working for Team Ultimate Power Hereticus, not Team Ultimate Power Xenos, so I probably can't boss you around.
Yeah. There's it's like the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force all had to share a tower, and they all had to just like walk around saluting each other, but didn't really know who they could bitch to or why. Anyway. Yes, Mutis sort of gives you the quick rundown that the spire and the landing pads are kind of the domain of Ordo Xenos. The Grim Gardens belong to Ordos Hereticus, and the basement and dungeon belong to his best friends, Ordo Malleus. As he's giving you this speech, there is a man just kind of like rushing quickly across the landing pad, sort of as quickly as he can. But he's got just a stack of scrolls that are all on tablets, but he's got several of them, and like an ink pot that's been like fused, like has been like bolted onto the top, but clearly just like overworked, underpaid, and in a huge rush. And of course, with all the vehicles around, like the scrolls are whipping up into his face. He's got a bit of a Rick Moranis thing going on. So just like the big glasses, kind of like just a mess of hair. And from the way he walks, I don't think, Attikus, you would clock this at all. But like Valentyne, you've seen folks like this before. There's like a put on air of kind of Terran Imperial royalty to this. Like there's a manner of walking, like it's very much like a boarding school walk. Like he's clearly putting on airs of being important in a way that a man carrying this much paper clearly cannot be. And he just kind of holds up his pen and he says, welcome to Heart. Oh, shit. Did you... Lord Mutus, we've been over this. You can't simply launch into the spiel. That is my duty. That is my lineage. This is my house, and I am allowed to do the entry speech. And Mutus just like flips him the double bird, which I guess is like an Aquila-based middle finger, and just says, yes, of course. May I introduce Stuart Lariel Asher, last of his line, and the hereditary owners of our fine building here. And then he just kind of leans over and like doesn't whisper, but does the hand in front of his face thing anyway, and just says, his family ran afoul of the tithes, and as a result, we got this delicious little house to live in, but he still likes to cling to it with his little ragged fingers. You know how the little people are.
Yes, of course. Now, Stuart, I require this ship to be well cared for. It's been reconsecrated in the name of the Inquisition. I require a place to file reports. I require a meeting room so that I can exchange records of the intolerably damned Barthas Billingberg XIII with my dear friend, the witch hunter Davian Mutus. I need to file a report about the planet Vicodin and its internal heresies with the Order Hereticus, and I require access to the Inquisition's records to be able to further my investigations. The priority of all of this is top.
So the minute you start talking, his eyes kind of roll up into his head. His head cranks almost 90 degrees, and a bunch of small servo arms burst out of the sides of his neck with additional pens and just start fucking going. And they're all like clicking in. He's got all these like little tiny arms. He is sort of gritting his teeth, trying to control all these tiny arms. But sure enough, he's making it work. He's using his organic arms to flip through all the different tablets. But to your sort of like surprise and delight, he got it all down. He's that server who said, I don't need to write it down, and then actually got all the specifics of your order right. So he just quickly reads those back to you in a monotone. You can see he's got some augmentation that's clearly at play here. And he just says, yes, of course, right away. The hospitality of Hearthold is second to none. I say second to none. Lord
Lucius Valentyne. Technically interrogator, but I was promoted in the field, so Inquisitor will do.
And like there's just a brief moment of all the etiquette in the galaxy running behind this man's eyes. And he just decides, you know what? Inquisition, safest to just do what they say. He says, very good, Inquisitor Valentyne, and your companion.
I believe I'm Inquisition also now, promoted in the field.
Correct. And this is Colonel Attikus Vis.
Colonel
Vis. Very good.
Yeah,
welcome.
Yeah, I am.
Yes, you are. And he just kind of like gives you like he's just so scared of everyone all the time. So just kind of like a look to see if you're done, and then like, okay, very good. Excellent. Let us see to this in the order that is most appropriate. And Mutus just says, Inquisitor Valentyne, it has been a true pleasure getting to meet another servant such as yourself. I'm sure we will bump into each other again. And he just kind of like waves grandly and says, no doubt a servo skull or two will let me know what happens to you. I do hope you make it. I have enjoyed our chats about the heretical sun.
As have I, and I look forward to filing a report with you so you may hunt down the remains of the traitorous Billingberg's empire and put it to the sword and flame.
Just like frothing at the mouth with glee, like he's chewing and there's nothing to chew on. And he just says, you know, my date of birth isn't for several cycles yet. And somehow you have given me the greatest gift. I shall be sure to tell my family what failures they are, for they could not deliver such a delightful treat. Ha! And then he just like stomps off on his servo leg. And then the rest of his crew comes out and like just like Kif from Futurama, like all of them are just overdressed in like pilgrim witch hunter gear. They're carrying heavy things. They're clearly tired. Like one of their their hats are like blowing off in the wind, and they have to like chase them and quickly put them back on. He's real all in on that theme, which means everyone's all in on his theme. Not unlike we Warhammer collectors, when sometimes we go a little overboard and like all the models are going to look like this, not really thinking about how shitty that would be in the field. So the witch hunting brigade follows Mutus kind of off the landing pad, and you just hear him like continuing to pontificate as he goes. That said, Asher is ready to show you to your quarters first. You can he kind of like he pushes like a button on the side of his neck console and mutters some quick vox orders, and sure enough, like servitors and other like repair folk and like maintenance people rush out and start like singing to Marnie's song and the damage that's been done, and kind of immediately giving it the once over. Grimly's still there. He just got like, double barrel shotgun across his lap, casually sitting in the pilot seat, watching all this go down. And he nods deferentially to the two of you. And you see kind of the rest of your crew give you a quick like salute, and Lyriel Asher whisks you away. The tower itself is beautiful on the inside, for realsies. It has been incredibly well kept, almost like if you sealed off, one of these spaces and like no dust fell on it. Like it really does. It gives the feeling of like a modern palace. But at the same time, there's clearly been a lot of modifications to make things a little bit easier for the Inquisition. As you walk through, you walk past a few rooms that would have at one point been, terraces or like overlooking the city, that have been gutted and turned into labs. There's, various Xenos biodata and things on monitors. You see carcasses under examination, all that fun stuff, just as you kind of stride by. And eventually Asher takes you to sort of a large central, very ornate elevator. It's a large circular elevator. Those of us who've been going hard on Elden Ring, like every elevator in Elden Ring, it's just kind of like a gilded circular cage, and as you step into it, Asher just goes to the center console and kind of depresses it. This has got a bit of like a Gatsby vibe to it. Like there's a very ethereal kind of beautiful quality to this that is completely at odds with all of the very like business-like Inquisition operations that are happening around it. You descend down sort of through the center of the tower, whipping past several levels. Again, it's a massive palace. Before arriving on what you would assume would have once been the ground floor, now buried deep beneath the hive. The doors open, and you're immediately hit by the scent of incredibly fragrant and beautiful flowers. It's always something odd to find in a hive city, but as you step out, you're in kind of a massive, like, at the back of estates, there's usually like one of those long rectangular gardens. I mostly know this from Scarface and the Vice City mission that is inspired by it. But just kind of like a long garden, very at home in Bridgerton. Like there's like hedge work, some of those like big pointy trees, and just like flowers kind of growing everywhere. It's an overgrown, lush garden that's clearly very well tended. But in and amongst all of the flora and fauna are, torture racks and, Iron Maidens and other sort of necessary tools of the trade for the Ordos Hereticus. And you can see like Inquisition troops, like in the same way that the Xenos have kind of turned a bunch of rooms into labs, this entire garden is basically just like one big facility for interrogating heretics, discussing heresy, and ferreting it out. So there's like an old fountain that's been turned into a series of, like, they've installed monitors on it. It's kind of a central command center, and you basically got like almost like a field. What would have at one point been like a field base set up in this garden, but it's clearly been here for centuries now. It's very functional, and also smells real nice. So Lyriel leads you forward and just says, before we show you to your rooms, I assume based on the order of operations you gave me, you would like to check in with those of your order. Is that correct, Inquisitor Valentyne and Corporal Vis?
It's Colonel Vis. Thank you very much.
And just like huge full body twitch as like one of the little pen arms scratches it out, and then like the pen nib turns to one of the other arms accusingly, and then just turns back and writes the actual title, which I've already forgotten. So give me that one more time. Colonel. Great. Like Sanders or Volgan.
Those two guys.
Those are the only two colonels I know. Great. So he immediately says, my apologies, sir. Would you like to make your report, or would you like to see your quarters?
If possible, I would like to see my quarters and have access to the inquisitorial files to be sure that when I make my report, it is fully accurate and in the full context of what has taken place.
Very good. In that case, and sort of like from the central command center, a man starts kind of like striding towards you. He just kind of holds up a hand and says, "Not quite so fast, steward." And he's got think like Ken Watanabe. If you like gave him just like Space Marine scout armor, like he's not wearing like the full suit because obviously he wouldn't have that. But somewhere along the line, he managed to get some modified scout armor. And over top of it, he just wears a very simple like quarter cape just over one arm. And you can see very much the sigil, as well as a dark, like a forest green purity. So again, like the red seal, but the paper is a forest green that you've recognized as the Attikus papers. And immediately Asher stops paying attention to you, turns and bows to him as he strides up. And he just kind of looks you up and down and then just nods like appraisingly and says, my name is Sabriel Graves. I am the administrator of the Ordo Hereticus here. And we'd been told you were coming. They say that you go by Lucius Valentyne. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Your Inquisitor you were flying under the flag of Barthus Billingberg the 13th, were you not?
Once he had been defeated in the purpose of rooting out more of his evil to destroy it. I was trained by Wilhelm Roach, who was my Inquisitor where I served as interrogator. When he was lost in the field, he raised me to the role of Inquisitor, but the paperwork has not yet been filed, so I am still a humble interrogator before you today.
Roach, yes, I remember Roach. We never worked together personally, but I was certainly aware of him, and we had some contact with him over the years, yes. Inquisitor Valentyne has a ring to it, does it not? Interrogator, I must admit some confusion. According to my understanding and the reports I've been reviewing, you are dead. But here you stand, and you don't seem to be anything other than what you are, but you will forgive me if I am somewhat hesitant to believe that a dead man, whose autopsy report I have read in full, stands before me. We're getting to some dice time here, sir.
Sure.
He's agreeable to you. This isn't. You can tell happily of all the Inquisitors, like particularly high-ranking Inquisitors you could find. They go by like what, Inquisitor Lord, Ryan? Would that be the?
There are Lord Inquisitors who work their way up. Yeah, like it's
it's a pretty arcane thing. But yeah, Lord Inquisitors are the ones in charge of like subsectors and sectors, and like they're the more important ones. So yeah,
Great. Okay, so I think we're gonna go ahead and say that all three of these guys are operating under the title Lord Inquisitor. Also, as I've said, Last Gleaming is far enough away from the Imperium's kind of major centers that no one from the Inquisition is likely to come here and piss on their parade. And if they did, they would just drop the honorific very quickly.
Yep.
Great. So, Lord Inquisitor Graves is happily seems to have a curious mind, which honestly is something you've seen in a lot of the Hereticus Inquisitors. Just that interest in kind of like getting to the actual bottom of things rather than just burning them at the stake or assuming that they're somehow Tau.
Yeah, you've been triple or quadruple bluffed enough times by the time you get high up in the Hereticus for like, how many people were the fake trail? How many good people have you burned?
Yeah, for sure. And also just like, if you're a heretic, I could probably learn more from talking to you than immediately murdering you, because if you are, then we've got much bigger problems. So the good news is that's going to affect the difficulty on this roll. What skill do you think Valentyne would use to try and get in Sabriel's good graces?
I feel like it's like lying by omission, but really just like blunt honesty, which is telling him like, yes, I had heard reports of that. It's one of the reasons I was headed here. I'm interested in sorting this out and discovering what value there is to people who would want me dead.
Seems reasonable. And he kind of just like, again, is giving you a long hard stare. All right, so if you're going, we talked a little bit off air about how the stats break down in Dark Heresy as relates to how you're choosing to convince someone. So what we've basically decided, for those of you playing along at home, is we're going to conflate the kind of convincing skills under one umbrella, only because like Valentyne is built to lie, but weirdly we realize can't tell the truth with any effectiveness, which is kind of insane based on the sort of build he is. So moving forward, we'll be using kind of any convincing stats for him will fall under the same thing to just open up a few more options within the realm of like, he's not going to charm anyone with like, I'm a really nice guy, but I feel like it would be fair for him to just be like, hi, I'm actually this guy. This is exactly what the example I used off there is like, hi, little girl, Santa Claus isn't real, but I need you to go up that chimney anyway with a shotgun. Okay, great, let's go. Like, it's still not nice, but it'll get the job done.
Yeah, he is alive because
Santa's real.
He's a functional sociopath, so there is no difference between his lies and the truth. They're all equally true to him.
Hashtag Inquisition.
And I think the other thing he would use in this discussion is he would be handing over a report that he would have collated in terms of Planet Vicodin, the other heresies, the Fabius Bile thing that he had stopped, just like the proof of, because in his brain, he had the ride here with the witch hunter to be like, fuck, they know my real name now. So he's got to prove he's doing good shit the whole way.
Yeah, I dig that. All right, so with all of that in mind, I suspect you'd be going with charm in as much as you're just telling him the truth.
Yeah, it's kind of the smartest lie he could tell, which is just leave out the prophecy about the Emperor.
Yeah, just leave out the Valentyne Heresy the show's named for. Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah, and have it just be that he stumbled across these cases in his survival. So just remove the impetus, but everything else is legit.
Okay, great. Love that. Okie dokie. So, let's go with, I'm going to say 3 purple.
Okay.
Also, it's been like a hot sec since we've dropped any dice. So from a story point perspective, I'm going to put us at 3 and 2 in your favor.
Okay.
So, you've got 3 purple, just from, again, like you're here, you're in the flesh, but I'm going to give you 1 boost from the fact that you are straight up telling the truth. That helps. It helps with the lie. I'm also going to give you a boost that the fanatical witch hunter on loan to Ordo Malleus didn't kill you, given that Ordo Hereticus also are often known as witch hunters and kind of go in for that shit. the fact that the most fanatical person that Graves knows didn't kill you actually speaks pretty highly to in your favor. So you'll get that. I am, however, going to give you a setback from the fact that he's had the time to read the autopsy report.
There is an autopsy report. That's a problem.
Yeah, pretty big problem. And I'm going to spend a story point to jack one of the purples to a red.
Yeah, I'm going to spend an additional story point because Valentyne has had extra time on board. He's aware that the moment he knew his name was getting dropped, the corpse thing is probably coming up. This is the most important argument he's ever going to have to make, which is, please don't kill me. I'm really me. Surreal. Alrighty, let's see what happens. 1 advantage, 2 failure. I had such good dice too.
Oh dear.
All right, so he just kind of nods as though you've confirmed something for him, and he says, "Interrogator, I hope you won't take this the wrong way, but until we can sort out exactly how you're here, and also," and he just kind of looks back at the screens and he says, "There, we are going to have to put you under guard and under arrest. Rest assured, no harm will come to you if your story pans out, but you are not free to move around the Citadel, nor are you free to access the resources of the Inquisition at this time." And he turns to you, Vis, and he just says, "Is this going to be a problem?"
Well, that depends on how my Inquisitor here responds.
Valentyne just gives you a shake of the head, let it ride, man. This is not the fight time. This is the let him do things time.
And then Attikus just shrugs and says, "Seems fine by me."
And Graves gives you kind of a long look, and there's almost a quirk of a smile, just on the edge of his lip. And he turns back to you, Valentyne, and he says, "Regardless of what the truth ends up being about you, I must say, for an interrogator, you have managed to inspire tremendous loyalty in your retinue. That is impressive." And he kind of looks to you, Attikus, and he says, "As is your loyalty, soldier. Very good."
I will say, Lord Inquisitor, if you'll allow me a brief interruption, this man is of the highest quality, serving with the highest guard regiments. No matter what falls on my behalf, whatever fate may surprise us both with, please look after this man. He is of highest quality.
Rest assured, interrogator, if anything at all is amiss with you or your genetics, we will take care of this man. And if it turns out to all be one big misunderstanding, a goof in the Emperor's name, well, then we shall take care of this man. Either way, rest assured, he will be taken care of, as is the Emperor's will. And with that, he just kind of nods to the two of you, and just sure enough, guards kind of almost Homer Simpson out of the bushes. They're just, they're all standing nearby. It's a damn thing about one of these kind of hedge maze things is there's just so many crevices for people to stand and move in from. And it's the exact kind of inquisitorial shock troops that Valentyne you'd expect to see, particularly around a citadel like this. It's operational 24/7. And so kind of not roughly, but firmly, they kind of take you to a spot actually just off of the central fountain area with the monitors. And Graves nods to sort of a couple of servitors who come in and basically quickly interface with the monitors, and a in classic 40K kind of shaky 80s technology screen way, a video of your autopsy comes up, and Graves says, "So, interrogator, this is what concerns me." And Valentyne, sure enough, that's you on the slab, and as they and you recognize your scars, you recognize blemishes, and you're particularly taken aback when they begin to work on your head, and they remove, as you understand them from the schematics you've seen of your eyes, your bionic eyes, some of the mechanisms you have in your head. For all intents and purposes, you're just Tom Sawyer at his own funeral. You're just watching a tremendously accurate, vivisection of yourself. Can you please roll me? I think we're going to go with resilience. No, let's go with cool. Let's go with cool on this one. If you
would you take a discipline?
Yeah, actually, I'd take a discipline. Sure.
Cool.
Sure. So I need discipline. This is going to be 3 purple. I'm going to give you a setback for the fact that you're just generally stressed. This isn't you'd wanted to watch it quietly in your quarters, but instead you have to watch it under armed guard with the Lord Inquisitor hanging out next to you. Yeah, and I'll give you 1 boost because of how desperate the situation is. You really have to keep your composure and figure this shit out. So I'll give you 1 boost for that. Anything else you want to make an argument for? Again, keeping in mind that this is basically a save against madness for seeing yourself cut up.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I could even vaguely try to call, which could be too ridiculous or could feel right, is knowing that he has his tempered will, which is removing 1 black die inflicted by critical injuries, the disoriented condition, or fear.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect for this. Yep.
Sociopathic nature to the fore. All right, I think that's it, because I think his focus is more on perceiving what's on the screen to figure out how to disprove than hiding that it's really fucking weird. Because let's just see what happens. 1 advantage.
Okay. So you don't take any strain. But you also don't you actually do that. You're still having a
I did the cough. I tried to drink tea. It was very bad. It was a very Valentine moment.
Yeah, no, it's pretty gruesome. So the video is complete, and one of the servitors kind of steps forward and just proceeds to rattle off details about it. It would seem that the body was recovered from the wreckage of the ship that was still in orbit, so that hadn't crashed into the glory hole. But as the cathedral in the sky kind of broke up, there was enough of the ship kind of left drifting that they were able to recover both Roach's body and yours. The cause of death seems to be just exposure, because you were drifting in space. Just kind of one of the bodies recovered from the wreckage before the planet itself was scourged. What I guess Greaves will turn to you, and you haven't been rolling particularly well. So he's kind of presenting this almost as he's being gentle about it, but it's almost the Blade Runner thing of you're completely unique. Have you seen the other one that looks exactly like you? Because here's some origami to show that maybe you're a robot. So he kind of presents that to you, and he says, I must say, interrogator, based on the evidence I've seen so far, and based on what you've told me, I suspect that no matter what you believe, you may not be who you think you are. And if this is in fact true, then some rather dark things may be afoot. That said, I do believe I owe you a chance to explain this however you can. So, I will grant you 3 questions of the servitor around your autopsy, through which to prove that you are, in fact, the real deal. If, however, you are unable to come up with a sufficient answer, then I assume you understand what must happen and why.
Yes, of course. Tom, can I roll a perception check to see if he spotted anything weird about the video or the body or anything like that?
Yeah, it's going to be hard because you didn't get any successes on your like mental resolve check. So I'm going to put this at 4 purple, and I'm going to spend a story point to jack 1 to a red. I'll give you. You don't have any setbacks for this. You did have an advantage from your check, so I'll give you a boost for that. I'll also give you a boost to account for the black dice we aren't removing because there isn't a black dice to remove. So for your grit and steel and whatever the fuck. Attikus, you're also watching this, and you aren't him, so that might give it an advantage. But where's Attikus at with this?
He is confused. He was pretty quickly convinced to turn on an Inquisitor that he believed to be corrupt. And now he's starting to spiral a little bit just internally of like, is Valentyne the one who's corrupt? Is this Graves guy corrupt? Like, he's not mentally equipped for the inquisitorial game of just mental chess that's happening.
Blundered into the wire where it's like it goes all the way to the top.
Yeah, really.
Oh, no.
So he's just very confused right now and kind of scaring himself with each like new what if scenario that he's coming up with.
Okay. Fair enough. So with that in mind, I don't think you can add a boost dice to this because I don't think you're like watching the video intently to like help solve a mystery. You're instead wondering like, did you maybe kill a good guy? Are you a baddie now?
I don't have ranks in mystery solving anyway. All my ranks are in punching. So,
oh man, if only there was a mystery to be punched, but that's a different show entirely.
It's a different show.
Okay, so Valentyne, I guess this is just on you.
I'm also going to add a story point because holy shit, if there's ever a time to add a fucking story point, this is the moment.
Yep.
Because his brain is running at 1,000%. Also, it's because he has the legitimate belief that the Emperor is sending him on this mission, which means the Emperor would not put this problem in his path unless he is meant to overcome it, and it will ultimately help him. So he's almost religiously incapable to believe he can fail this test. It doesn't mean that's necessarily true, Ryan says from the outside, but Valentyne is sure. Oh, shit. Okay, this is a very tight roll. It is 4 yellow versus 3 purple, 1 red, and there are 2 boosts. So it's slightly in the favor, but I have had better dice pools on 2 previous rolls and shit the bed both times. Holy shit. Okay, 3 successes, 2 triumphs. That's my boy fucking robot eyes. Robot eyes. Wow.
You just had to get there.
Yeah, fuck those earlier rolls. This worked out. He's the Emperor! He says to himself as he looks at the screen.
And like everyone around
Attikus, by the way. He likes hearing that.
Yeah.
Very simple things like, oh, okay, he's good.
Everyone around you, if you're just saying that to yourself, like it's the kind of thing where like everyone kind of clocks it and knows exactly what you were saying in your head because like they know. It's it's business as usual in the Inquisition, baby. All right, great. So what you noticed, that is a lot of successes. Holy shit. So I mean, I think we can just cut to the chase here. You notice the eyes obviously being removed and your other prostheses. And it occurs to you that one of the interesting quirks of the machine that spat you out and spits all these troops out is, with technology being as rare and valued as it is, you know for a fact that there is a record of the serial numbers for what got put in your face, because they don't just hand those things out for free. And after the accident, you were still like training at that point. So they weren't just like, it's not like field medicine. It's not like anything Attikus may have found along the way. This is like proper, Imperial, because it was when you were still training, right, Ryan?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it occurs to you that one of the fastest solutions to this, in your favor or in the corpse's, is to just fucking check the serial numbers, because there will be a record that you cannot tamper with that is in Imperial record that will have the correct number. You obviously can't tamper with whatever is in the corpse, and you can't tamper with in what's in your head right now. So basically, it's like, this is a fast way to check immediately that you actually can't be accused of rigging, because it's all external to you. So all this flashes through your mind as you stand there, and you realize that these servitors will be able to obtain that information rather quickly. They're connected to the network. Like, you may not need to ask them any questions because you have this information.
Wonderful. I would suggest checking the serial numbers on both the bionic eyes and bionic ears of that corpse and myself versus the records, and confirming that the records have not been changed in the last short time since that death.
And Graves just kind of like cocks an eyebrow and says, it's a very reasonable course of action. And immediately like nods to the servitors, and they kind of get up in your business. I assume you like roll your eyes back to like an uncomfortable point. But I once found that the serial number on one of my contact lenses by looking real close, and it was the weirdest fucking thing to be like, oh, this is printed on the thing that goes on my eye and I just can't see it, but it's there, and that's terrifying. Huh. So it's that kind of nonsense. Well, another servitor plugs hard lines into the network and, quickly checks with the appropriate record sources. And, a little bit of time passes. It's 40K. Nothing's like super immediate. But eventually the one of the servitors comes over with like a vox mouth and just says, Lord Inquisitor, the numbers have returned. It would seem that the numbers from the body that were recovered are incorrect. This is, in fact, Interrogator Valentyne. And Graves just kind of nods. And then his face kind of falls a little bit, and he just says, fuck Horus, this really makes things a lot more complicated. You'll forgive me, but I really, really wished you'd been lying.
Oh, if I'd been you, I'd feel the same way.
And he claps a hand on your shoulder, and he says, I suspect this is the beginning of a very good working relationship. Inquisitor Valentyne.
Valentyne's heart for the first time skips a beat because he has never been a legitimate Inquisitor until this moment.
From the autopsy of Lucius Valentyne. The body does seem to be in rather good condition, all things considered, although I suppose the vacuum, cold and dead of space is rather good for preserving the biological in the long run. I do wonder, though, there are some questions that I have, but I suppose just another dead crew member, they probably aren't worth posing. Do wonder, though, how did he get that musculature with absolutely no stress or tension? Very odd. It's like he never walked a day in his life. Valentyne, you have just been cleared of being dead, as well as being promoted finally to Inquisitor by Lord Inquisitor Sabriel Graves. There's, of course, paperwork and a little bit more pomp and circumstance that must be accomplished, but the fact that the regional Lord Inquisitor for the Ordo Hereticus has signed off on it gives you some degree of in addition to just kind of like the actual like joy you felt, some relief as well. So Graves says, now, Inquisitor, there will of course be some caveats to this. The matter of your death is quite concerning, as now I suppose is the matter of Wilhelm Roach's death. All these matters must be concluded before you are granted full inquisitorial powers. We will support you however we can, but understand that it will take longer for the rest of the Inquisition to come around to these revelations and reports. I may actually have to travel in person to clear this up. So rest assured you will have as much assistance as we can give you, but please do not believe for a minute that all doors are open to you, for that is an awfully good way to get burned at the stake by our overzealous friends like Mr. Mutus. Do you understand me?
Yes, agreed. These raise a number of questions that I am equally uncomfortable with. I am glad to have had this cleared up here, but I would want to avoid any conflict surrounding this case in future.
Understood. My recommendation would be this. If you are in a region of his glory that is somewhat more cut off from the Imperium, please do feel free to flaunt your authority as much as you see fit. Just be more careful in Imperial centers. We can't be certain how fast word will spread, nor what doors will close to you. So exert your authority with care. More care than is due one of your rank, to be certain, but with care nonetheless.
Excellent, agreed.
So with that, you now have kind of free run of the Grim Gardens. This will kind of act as your temporary kind of base of operations here on Last Gleaming. Immediately, like, all the sanctions that had been put on your ship are lifted, and suddenly a much better quality of mechanic shows up, much to Grimly's surprise. But Graves has to sort of attend to other matters, but he seems satisfied for now that you are the real deal. Mechanically, what this means for you, Ryan, is Valentyne now, as I said, has inquisitorial authority within kind of like Graves' sphere of influence. But you don't have like an Eisenhorn level of I can just boot open any door and say, Inquisition, give me your stuff. Wherever you go, it's still kind of... You're not in the system. You are accredited by the people who it kind of matters most to credit you, but it will take time for this to get cleared up, and likely a trip to Terra, which is not Terra. Where's the home of the Inquisition again?
Oh, they bounce around. It's Titan is where the Grey Knights are, so I'm imagining there might be something linked there. They kind of bounce around in the
Yeah, I'm mostly thinking of the one Eisenhorn keeps visiting and being like, I hate this place. It has soot. But I haven't listened to
Oh, yeah. His
Grastian
also
Primaris?
Yes, thank you. Yes. So
Gratian Primaris, yeah. If he's, I think that's the Ophidian subsector.
Yeah. So regardless, like, you might have to go to Version Primaris just to like get the ball rolling to get further in, because obviously it's not going to go all the way to Terra to be like, hi, one Inquisitor, please. But there's some in-person schmoozing that has to be done between the sectors in order to get this all underway. Also, just to not break the game by just giving you a fucking like ticket to ride.
He's an Inquisitor here, and everywhere else he's as Valentyne has been. I have a rosette; it checks out, but I'm not able to like commandeer an army. That doesn't work.
Yeah, unless they're cut off enough. Like if you went to Vicodin and there wasn't bullshit afoot. Like if the Confederacy wasn't involved there at all, you could probably just hijack. So again, just as you've been doing, but now with the actual authority that you've declared for yourself. Similarly, because you're here, like both you and Attikus can re-equip and get kind of properly geared up and that sort of thing now, because you have the weight of the Inquisition behind you, at least within the gardens. One of the servitors comes over and immediately stamps the Ordo Hereticus purity seal identifiers on both of you. Where would you have it? So this is just like the red sealing wax with little ribbons dropping from it that indicate which order you're working with.
Silver breastplate on the right hand side, so that it doesn't interfere with the Aquila on it, but it is on his armor as the armor of faith.
Right. Attikus, where would you like yours? This is literally a wax seal. You can just crack it off later. Like, this isn't a permanent addition.
Then just on the large mechanical shoulder of his prosthetic arm.
Cool. So they quickly see to that, and you're immediately brought like refreshment, and Graves arranges for Asher to basically put you up in a room that has access to the network, the local network here, so you can review the autopsy footage and kind of continue your investigation. He does expect a full report, but he's in the midst of other matters. He wasn't expecting a visit from a dead man today. So he asks to be kept in the loop, but there are some other pressing matters that are drawing his attention. But that said, again, if you need him, you can get him. You just can't like hang out all day. With that, you're swept kind of off the gardens to. There's a number of what would at some point have been like maintenance sheds that have been upgraded significantly to be almost like a field base. Not nearly as ostentatious as the rest of the palace, but honestly a little bit more functional. And you're kind of shown to a fresh set of quarters that the two of you can share. It's kind of like a bed, like small, like single bed on either side, like fold down field beds, and then just a busted ass old 40K computer plugged into a bunch of things. There's a servitor there to assist you if you need it. But you've kind of got your own little suite, basically. And before Asher leaves, he just says, I do apologize that you're not staying in the main palace. I assure you Hearthold has wonderful accommodations, and should you need further rest, we can absolutely arrange for a guest suite in the main building. But do you have everything you need for now?
The one thing that I believe we do need is an adept of the Administratum who specializes in research. It is not my gift to go through these files, and as you can imagine, it is not the Colonel's either.
Excellent. I will requisition one of those for you presently. I would offer to do it myself, but the steward of Hearthold has greater duties. And he bows deep and skitters off. So you have a few moments before your adept shows up. Anything you want to talk about in private?
Yeah. Valentyne, what was that back there with your dead body on a screen, and your eyes are your eyes and his eyes are your eyes but not?
Yes, I don't entirely know either. It would appear that someone is actively trying to sabotage our mission. As we know, we've been sent by the Emperor, which means the greatest of foes are those arrayed against us. And someone felt the need to fake my death in the hopes it would get the Inquisition to execute me. I don't know who.
Why not just kill you for real?
Well, they may
That's
have not
what
known.
I do.
They may have not known where I was.
Well, then, don't they know now?
Theoretically, yes, but I have been cleared, so they would be storming an Inquisition base. It means we should be very careful moving forwards, and it would mean we should be extra careful when we leave here, because logically, if they're watching for the filings, then yes, we have a short period of time before our, one could say, subtlest of foes is upon us, in one way or another, or they're already here. It's a problem, is what I'm saying. I want to research the case so we can move forwards and keep an eye in the back of my head to look backwards at new threats.
So it could be anyone?
Correct.
Oh, I don't like that, sir. I mean,
No,
I
but it's
like knowing who I'm fighting.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, you're fighting chaos, and you're fighting in the name of the Emperor, and that is what we know. The enemy tries to confuse things. You may have noticed we've been straightforward in our task.
Yes,
we know
sir.
our
Yes,
goals.
we have.
We pursue them. We step into the light, and they are trying to inveigle us in the shadows. We won't allow them to do that, will we, Attikus?
Well, I feel I must confess something, sir. In that moment, when I saw you on the screen, and they were reading off all those identifiers that match you, I found myself questioning. I'm ashamed to say it now in the light of the facts as they are, but I understand if you wish to demote or execute me.
Ah. You're admitting that you've experienced doubt in me. I can understand
Fleeting,
this.
sir, only the briefest.
Yes,
I
yes.
just was...
Well, when a weapon is exposed to heat, there are two things that can occur. One, it can break and be lost because reforming is impossible for it. Or the second, it can become a twice-folded blade, stronger, more immutable, and immune to the weaknesses of the past. Attikus, the question you must ask yourself is, are you broken or are you a twice-folded blade of the Emperor?
Oh, Sir Attikus Vis does not break.
Then you'll stand with me moving forwards, and we will not experience the same doubts again, will we?
No, sir, no, we will not.
Excellent.
What are your orders, then?
Well, we're going to wait for this research person to show up, and then we're going to need to find some new band members, because there's just you and I, which seems a little bit light. And I'm hoping to tour their armory. I hate to say it, but I've been hoping for a power sword for a very long time, and now that I've been promoted, I hope they have one I can take.
And at that, there's a polite knock outside your door.
Yes, enter.
So an Adeptus Administratum sort of like pokes their head in and just says, "Hello. I was told there was some need for research."
Excellent. Yes. I'm assuming you are cleared for the highest security ratings.
And like, there's like just the like for someone who's trying to keep a professional demeanor, just like a little like, oh fucking come on, man, like like just like a little devilish grin that they quickly mute and say, yes, of course, I would not have come if I could not provide the services you need. I have the highest clearance, and I've been told by the Lord Inquisitor himself that I am to assist you in whatever you need. This one's name is Circeus Ivanacloth, and I am at your service.
Circeus Ivanacloth.
Circeus Ivanakov.
Ivanakov. All right. Yes, excellent. I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Cough. I'm writing it down in the page that is my mind. Now.
Yes, of course. That is the best way to do the research. I understand.
So what I need from you, new friend, and he just launches into the list of what he needs, which is like he needs him to look into his death and everything surrounding the entire deal of kind of what's happened at Galen's Glory. He wants him to look into his autopsy and find any other information about the shadiness that's there. He also needs him to look into, I think it's Sandor Rafferty is the space marine that he has been studying. And then there is also, I'm just finding too many pages with too many sides. Also, Trin Rakai, the Aeldari that they've been hunting. So it's just kind of searching that, which is like, what the hell happened and why are people trying to kill me? And then looking into the next two targets because he needs a place to go.
Gotcha. Okay, excellent. So he just kind of nods and says, yes, Phil, this is very doable. I shall get to work on this immediately. And basically with like a smile, like an excited, enthusiastic, like impish grin that he's just kind of desperately trying to like tamp down. Like he's a professional. He's not supposed to be this gleeful. He turns on his heel and leaves. So you do have a little bit of time as you wait for the results to start coming in. Valentyne, you are able to visit the armory, and wouldn't you know it, there just so happens to be a power sword with your name on it. At least it would have your name on it if anyone knew you were coming, but they definitely give it to you because that is something you can requisition quite easily. So congratulations. You can give yourself an upgrade to your weaponry.
Yes! That's just Ryan. I fucking love power swords. They're cool as fuck. And we had a power sword appear in a villain's hand for a brief moment that was like a highlight that never got used because Attikus rules. And I was just like, we
pushed him off a building.
We need them and they're too cool.
Yeah, that's every video game I've ever played where like a character has gear I want and then they just die off a cliff. And I'm like, there's always new game plus. Yes. So Valentyne, you gain a sword. Would Valentyne name his sword? Is that the kind of thing that Valentyne does?
Knowing that it's an inquisitorial relic, does it come with a name? Because a lot of power swords are like older weapons that have been passed down and on if they've got good generators and shit.
I'm going to say this one clearly did at some point because it hasn't been assigned to anyone. And also this is kind of a backwater outpost. I think you can see that this thing is like It's like a really good old car. Like it's past its prime, but it was built at a time where shit lasted. So there was clearly a name engraved on it at some point, but through combat wear and tear, it's just like scratched out enough that you can't reach it. So it is kind of yours to rechristen, but it does clearly have history. Like it's battered, the casing is bad, the grip is like, it's like any sword. The leather's like come apart a bit and been like restrapped a few times, which honestly I think gives you, in a lot of ways, peace of mind, because like if this thing is still running, it's clearly a very well built blade.
Attikus, what was
Yes,
your
sir.
mother's name?
My mother's name, sir.
Yes.
Her name was Sella.
Wonderful. This blade shall be named Sella. Sella's glory.
What? I'm confused, sir. It's an honor. But why my mother?
Well, the greatest gift any mother can give is a son or daughter to fight for the Emperor. She's already given you, and so she should be celebrated by your side. So Sella's glory shall protect me up close. Will you protect me from slightly further away?
Well, it's an honor, sir. Thank you.
There was also an Adeptus Mechanicus operating kind of out of this armory, and she's like eyeing your arm quite intently, Attikus. And then finally, almost like, a celebrity that she's run into in like a restaurant, doesn't really want to say anything. She just kind of like sidles up, which is awkward as hell because she's like mostly metal. So it's kind of like clunk, 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 clunk. And she just leans over and says, that is a very impressive arm you have. Might I examine it closer?
No, I think that's just fine as it is. Last time someone examined my arm, it went dead in a fight and I was thrown into a fucking crevice. So it works now, so that's fine. Thank you very much.
Oh, I simply wanted to make it slightly punchier.
That's what they said. Hey, you're all the same, are you? Hey?
Always a Mechanicus bridesmaid, never a Mechanicus bride.
Well, allow me to interrupt for just a moment here, my possible Mechanicus friend. Now, remember, Attikus, we are inside an inquisitorial stronghold, so the overall relationship here is much, much stronger. Can you show us your qualifications and your history?
And she just kind of turns her head and just like emits that horrible fucking like binary speech that we got very familiar with last season, just at like a high rate, and then just kind of like looks at you expectantly.
See, she's crazy.
No, this is binary code. It's a certain amount of complication. How long have you served the Inquisition for? In verbal low Gothic.
That is an important distinction. I appreciate that you added that. I have been here for over 326 years. 326 and a half to be exact. Not quite 327, but we're getting there.
And how many demerits or other negative performance reviews have you received during that time?
And like her shoulders drop a little bit. And she does like that little kid who's a little bit embarrassed thing, but her feet are treads. So instead of kicking a foot, it's just like and says, this one has received 13 demerits for often putting this one's nose where it does not belong in the service of trying to make punchier things. It would seem that not everyone wants punchier swords or guns or arms, as your friend has indicated. This one perhaps is a little too overeager to serve the machine god in all of its glory. But that is fine. I have learned to worship in my own way. Some days I just close my eyes and imagine how much cooler all of the technology around me could be if only they would let me touch it. But instead it remains banal. And she like looks longingly at that arm. Just
Attikus.
like full-on end of a rom-com in the rain outside, like...
Attikus, this fine member of the Mechanicus has been serving the Inquisition for 326.5 years, and they've only received 13 demerits, all for doing their job too well. I don't think you could actually do better anywhere in the galaxy than having this particular technician assist your arm. Do you want to punch harder?
Well, I mean, yes, sir, always.
Well, I can see two solutions to this problem. One, allow this Mechanicus technician to enhance your arm. Adept, are you available for transfer for inquisitorial purposes?
Sadly, I am not. I have spent a lot of time working here on a lot of different weapons, and at this point, if I wasn't the one servicing them, they would fall apart. That said, if you do require someone, I do believe that you are Inquisitor Valentyne, yes?
Yes, correct.
Indeed. We have received word from Graves that one of our order has already been assigned to you.
Excellent. Well then, we have a Mechanicus who will be on board the ship, Attikus, to work with us on an ongoing basis. If there are any problems, then we can go back to the ship and get them dealt with. And if it turns out that this adept is malicious in some way, they've been here for 326 years, they'll be here when we get back, and Graves and I can sort this out and allow you to, I would say, spread their parts liberally around the garden.
Oh, all right then. Listen, you can work on this arm. All right, this is the arm that serves the Emperor, the arm that serves Inquisitor Valentyne. And if any of your mucking about in there jeopardizes my mission, that'll be your 14th mistake, and you won't live to make a 15th. Do you understand?
Oh yes, quite clearly. If I were to commit blasphemy against the Omnissiah by not making one of their glorious tools more glorious, they would no doubt strike me down from their mechanical throne. And then I assume you would punch whatever was left into dust.
Right. Yes, I would do that.
Attikus doesn't like that she's like not fazed by his threat. It's just, yeah. Seems like she understands, but I don't get the tone. So he like kind of turns so that she has access to his arm.
Yeah, I think it's like getting a tattoo.
Yeah,
just like got your arm. Okay, so she just like kind of lowers her voice and just says, "I am so very, very sorry for all that you have endured."
Well, that's
not
fine.
you. I am speaking to the arm.
Oh, you.
Please do not interrupt my unity with the glory of the Omnissiah. And then she just starts stroking the arm.
Omnissiah.
Do not worry. He will not interrupt us again. And she like glowers at you. If you want to know where those demerits came from. Okay, and I'm just trying to pull up the stats for the Power Fist here, but I'm having a hell of a time. Oh, there we go. There we go. I found them. There you are, Peter. Okay, so we're going to give you a little upgrade there, sir.
That's fucked up. Just given how the Power Fist already is.
yeah, I know, but I can't give Valentyne a cool sword and then not give you some fun shit. Man, I'm still having trouble. This is arranged in like, you want grenades? You want sticks? You want sharp sticks? How about low-tech spears? Okay, Power Fist. So currently you're doing +4 damage with it, I believe.
No, it has the special feature as well.
It's like destructive, so I think it like doubles it. It's got like a ton of special.
That's totally fine. We're gonna make that +4, +5.
Okay, so I'm just gonna increase it by 1 point.
Yeah, so just gonna increase it by 1 point, which based on everything else you do should actually like multiply and stack in like a weird like Soulsborne scaling way. But I also don't want to break the game by giving you like
it's broken.
Yeah. Oh no, it's like I released a new codex. Suddenly the game doesn't balance no more.
Too soon.
So Tyler, what does the upgrade to your Power Fist look like? Like what's the cool new permutation that if I found it in a video game I'd be like, "Oh, sick, an upgrade." Like what's that look like?
Let's say that this is in fact maybe an older Power Fist, and the the mechanics that go into driving the fist forward for punching and things like that. That technology, there's been enough advances, or at least they've unearthed maybe the ancient advances. Because again, I'm talking out of my ass right now about 40k stuff. That they have basically been able to replicate that sort of force in each of the fingers of the power fist. So it's just increased its like crushing ability.
Okay, yeah, I like that. She spends a lot of time being like, the amount of prehensile tactility of these fingers is terrible, poor fingies. And she just like strokes the fingers and she's like, I will make you sing with the power of the Omnissiah. Yeah, she just retools them slightly. And I think we'll say Attikus, now they can they become like back jointed. So in addition to kind of cracking forward, I don't know where or why you'd use this, but they do that like horrific thing that modern robots do where it can also back joint.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you're like trying to not get sucked into space again, maybe you could hang on a different way. I don't know. But still in a very 40k way. Like this isn't like slick, everything's nice. It's like there's a bunch of gears and like horrors. But she's very proud of her work. And she just says, may this serve you well. And if it does not, may my death be quick and painful.
Yeah. Again, he doesn't like that she's like completely on the same page as him, but not scared. So he's just like,
yeah, that will be what happens. So
it is the Omnissiah's will, yes.
You know then. Right. Are you done?
Is there a place where we can find a list of, one could say, inquisitorial agents who are available at this time?
And she just looks at you and says, why would you need agents when you have all the tools you need? And like you're already on the way out the door. You know, you're not getting not getting what you need here. But Asher is only ever a ring away because literally his whole job is just to like butler for the entire palace. It's part of his family's penance for not making the tithe. So he says he'll get on that. Unfortunately, like the interesting challenge with Last Gleaming is like it's kind of all available agents, but there's not like a vetted list of like these are the top operators because those operators have already been swooped up. And with the increasing violence between the loyalists and the redacted, like it's getting harder and harder. So he says he'll go scrape up what he can, but also you get the sense from him that like the list he's going to give you isn't shit you want. Like these are not going to be the people like that you really want. In fact, normally this would be when the loyalists would actually start to get called up, but because they're in a street gang war, no one knows where to fucking find them at this point, which is terribly ironic. And if they ever found out about it, it would literally break their hearts. But you do return to your rooms as Asher runs off to do that, to just a bunch of summaries from Genesys. And he does real good work. It's just like proper like TLDR Sparks Note shit, and giving you some rundowns. I think Ryan, for this, we'll use Valentyne's stats to see kind of what has been unearthed. Let's go with we have a custom skill for you that's just kind of like Inquisitioning in general, correct?
We've used Forbidden Lore before.
Yeah, let's go with that, please.
Yeah.
So Forbidden Lore, there's gonna be difficulty.
Forbidden Lore has 2 yellow for me. That it.
2 yellow. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna give you an additional green for. Actually, no. Let's go with an additional yellow for Genesys because he's the one actually doing the work.
Great.
This is going to be a 3 purple check. I'm not going to spend any story points. I'm going to give a boost for access to the Inquisitorial Network. I'm going to give you a setback for the Eldari research because that's not something that should be documented anywhere.
Also, we're Hereticus, so if I got a Hereticus guy, that's a Xenos problem.
Surely it is.
Yeah, I will use I'll use a story point to add a green. simply because I think he could actually give a lot of contextual information. Not so much for Trin, but in terms of Sandor, he also knows about like the Ultramarines. He knew about the other stuff, if we assume that was also said. So there'd be some ways to narrow it down from just a Marine red/gold question mark to this campaign, this escape, these links. Let's see what happens. 2 successes, 3 threat.
Okay, great. So the information you are able to get, you don't get obviously everything. He's still working. This is less like he couldn't get it, and more like he's working on it. So the Eldari thing is like a non-starter. There's nothing to go for off of that. So that remains kind of an open mystery for you. In terms of the autopsy, you don't get much information beyond you get that note that we started the episode on, that like the body seemed awfully fresh. Like it was like genetically matched you like 1-to-1. Everything was perfect. The only thing that was off was the serial numbers, but the doctor performing the autopsy did find it odd that like some of the stressors that occur just naturally from our bodies growing weren't present. So it was just kind of an oddity, but something that didn't seem to matter because you were just a dead interrogator, and like that's ultimately not really a big deal in the long run for the Inquisition. Sandor Rafferty, however, his file is easy enough to find because he's a fucking Space Marine. He is the commander of the Crimson Thatch chapter, a lesser known, sort of like at this point almost disavowed, not because of heresy, but just because of general embarrassment. Just a lesser known, like subsect of a lesser known chapter of the Space Marines, known for their distinctive livery of an intercutting lines of red and green and yellow, a plaid Marine, if you will. But known in combat. The theory that they all swear by is that this is a subtle psychological tactic to confuse and mystify. It's the old Yankee pinstripe argument, but there is literally no evidence that this is true. They just have real weird looking armor, and they kind of have to stick to it now. So Rafferty is kind of known as a like lower middle management style Space Marine commander. He's been a very outspoken and vocal kind of champion of his chapter's inclusion in more things. But generally speaking, he's not particularly liked. He's merely tolerated. So that's the information they've been able to pull for him right now. In terms of the list of actions that the Crimson Thatch have been involved in, like there's still a Space Marine like subchapter. So they've had a number of victories and they've had some good actions, but like they don't have glorious victories on the level of like the Ultramarines or anyone else. It's just like, oh, cool, you put down a cult once? That's neat. We did 4 on our way to our actual mission, but like that's good work. Like keep it up.
Yeah, there's still a Space Marine chapter, but they're like a lower level successor chapter.
100%. Yeah,
they're doing the grind.
They're far enough away that like, yeah, we'll recover the gene seeds, but we're not as worried. You know, like it's not a big deal. So yeah, a lesser offshoot. So that's what you get about him. And then in terms of your supposed death and the recovery of the ship, that's going to take some more time as well, just because those files are sealed. However, you notice from the quality of work you're getting from Genesys that he seems to do better when he has more information. So there's kind of a question I'd pose to you, Valentyne. He seems loyal, he seems committed to the cause, and he seems to be able to get you information based on what you need. You haven't revealed the visions, you haven't revealed any of that element of things. If you gave him that information, he would likely be able to get you much more specific and possibly relevant information. However, it would mean bringing him in on kind of your darkest secret, or you can continue to let him collect information as he's been doing, and then have to kind of find the connective tissue yourself. What do you think you would do?
Tresses, is it possible for you to join us on our missions? I am lacking in an adept of the Administratum with your particular skills.
Well, I am rather beloved here for my research skills. However, as long as the Lord Inquisitor has no issue, I see no reason not to.
Excellent.
Wait, sorry, forgive me, Inquisitor. Could I ask a small question?
Oh, of course, of course.
If I joined you, would we go to space?
Yes, the very first thing we would do is go to space.
And that fucking grin comes back, and he just says, I have always wanted to see the stars. Yes, I will join, if I may.
Excellent. Let's file for that transfer right away, and the moment the paperwork goes through, I have an interesting story I would like to tell you that will bring so much more context to your research and prove how important our mission is.
If you will excuse me for just one moment. And he pokes his head out and he says, Mazer, I'm going to space! He says, and he leans back and he says, I am sorry, she told me I never would. She's long dead, but, she heard. So he quickly goes and puts through the order. And sure enough, Graves is like, for someone like this, like, yes, like Ivanikoth is known as being good, but like there's a lot of people who are good here. It's fine. Like, yeah, fucking you can borrow a librarian. Who gives a shit? Like, here you go. So he comes back, and I assume you just kind of fill him in on.
Oh yeah, this is just Valentyne telling the tale. Like, welcome to the Brotherhood. This is the story. This is what we're fucking doing. And he feels more confident telling this to somebody with more information, simply because everything they've done has added up. They did foil, like he did have agents foil Fabius Bile. He did actually find the Vicodin thing. He's confirmed that there's a conspiracy with the Goals. He's got a little bit of audio of that with Eugene. Like, there's enough that, like, it doesn't seem as bullshitty, especially for people who would have experience with, like, the Emperor's Tarot and other things, knowing they're in inquisitorial circles.
Yeah. All right, cool. So he's very, like, he's all in. He's just, like, listening intently and nodding. And you can tell that he's, like, fucking jonesing to get in on this. So he listens to kind of the whole affair. And he says, my lords, this is very interesting indeed. You have brought many very interesting facts to light here. It is interesting. There is a mystery here on the Fading Glory that I have not been able to solve, for I was missing a piece that perhaps you have procured for me. There was one in the now dead Inquisitor Kane Hurst's retinue, who also reported visions, you see, and they sound a little bit like yours. He did not perhaps get the full picture, but the bits and pieces. He mentioned the sipping from the cup of the skull, the golden skull. He was quite insistent about it. Unfortunately, when the Inquisitor died, we lost contact with his retinue. We do not know what happened to this Psyker. But I have some good news. There are 2 remaining of his retinue here on the planet. They run a bar in one of the worst areas south of the Meridian. It is known as the Claw and Wing. It was a curio of the Inquisitors. Perhaps they might know where we could find at least where this Psyker's body is. And, well, you seem like you have friends in low places. Perhaps we could get some answers there, no?
Excellent. Now, I'm going to need us to requisition a vehicle. Attikus, I require people with guns in a truck.
On it, sir.
And Attikus, you storm off to find guns in a truck. He just says nods and says, this is good. This has been an itch I could not scratch. You have no idea how satisfying this will be. Not as satisfying as going to space and giving the finger to my mother, but the rest of it, very impressive. Also, you should know, Inquisitor, I do believe the Billingberg files are being opened and looked over. I know Lord Inquisitor Graves wanted to have a word with you about a Mechanicus Magi by the name of Gideon Kotov when we return from our mission. But please do ensure that you return here before you go to space, yes?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to collect this information, then you and our ship, and then we will take to space in the name of the Emperor.
This is fucking good news. So with that, Attikus, you and again, like, you love a well-oiled machine, and when you show up saying, I need a vehicle and guns, and people with guns, that is what you receive. No questions asked. You get 4 Inquisitorial Stormtroopers, and just like I mean, it's not the best vehicle in the world, but it'll get you there. It's like a modified land speeder type thing. Help you skim sort of over some of the rougher parts of the hive and down. Unfortunately, once you get down into the hive itself, you either need to hook up with the Adeptus. I was going to say Astartes, but that's not who we want. Arbites.
Yeah.
No,
or
give
just
us the Astartes!
You want some plaid marines? Or you'll just have to hoof it on foot, which honestly might be the way to go. You've heard there is a lot of violence breaking out, and the commander of the stormtroopers says that she'll brief you on the way down. But you have a lead. 2 former inquisitorial band members of a long dead inquisitor, a psyker who apparently spoke of seeing things similar to what you yourself have seen, and yet more mysteries about what happened to the other Valentyne and exactly who is arrayed against you. But you know a little bit more about the Marines, and you have a destination. And hey, you got yourself a librarian. So honestly, everything's coming up Valentyne, which is more than I can say for Morgan and Eli, who are still having a tremendously rough night.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter as Attikus Vis, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter as Eli Sharpe, Del Borovic at Deltastic on Twitter as Morgan Rhalls, and our Game Master Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com, DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. We have merchandise available at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, and most importantly, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: the Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Sammy Boy, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Shulzari, Christian Mendez, Spot Allen, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.